It's been 2 years since I gave birth to my baby girl, and I am proud to say I am finally over my postpartum depression. Hey y'all, what's up? It's me, Miss Ruby. Welcome back to my channel, and happy Mother's Day weekend to you. I don't care if you have physically birthed a child or not. If you are a woman, then you were called to mother. So I celebrate you today too, okay, boo-boo? This may be kind of a long video, but stick around to the end because I have kind of a big announcement to make. And if you really rock with me and you really on the team, you're gonna wanna hear that announcement, okay? Now, before we jump into this story time, I do wanna shout out the sponsor of this video, Dr. Monica's Natural Beauty and Wellness Essentials. Not only did she hook me up with this goodie bag full of goodies, but she's also extending a discount to you. By clicking on the link in the description of this video, you can take advantage of a 10% discount. Dr. Monica creates a variety of beauty products that I'm super into, honestly, from bath bombs to body oils, perfumes, elixirs. She has things for mind, body, soul, hair. This one is her Egyptian goddess oil. It's the first one that I tried, and honestly, it's my favorite one. Easily just rubs onto the palm. You kind of just want to let it like air dry into the skin, but you know, these types of body oils are really good go-to products when you want to just dab a little bit of smell good, you know, in the most essential places, maybe before you go to bed, maybe before you go on that date, maybe even before you go on that quarantine date via Zoom. How are y'all doing it right now, by the way? Anyway, that's for another conversation. These things smell divine. I know some of you guys are probably searching for last minute Mother's Day gift ideas, and you can go to her website and actually purchase an e-gift card. So you can still send your mom something for Mother's Day that she can use right away by shopping online. Okay, let's get into this story time. And so I'm gonna start off by saying that when I heard the term postpartum depression, however long ago that was, it was just something that I never took very serious, very similar to a lot of things when it came to pregnancy. My first trimester was already kind of bittersweet because 2 months prior to getting pregnant, I had a miscarriage. I did do a video talking about that miscarriage experience. It was actually almost exactly 3 years ago to date of this video. So yeah, I had gone into the pregnancy coming out of a very sad experience, but it was a very joyous time because I was successfully pregnant again with no real hard effort. I felt so grateful. I had already worked through so much of the baggage that came with the miscarriage, so I felt like, you know, it was going to be a process, but I'll be fine. So first trimester was very challenging for me just because of all the nausea and all the new experiences that I was having, and I didn't want to tell anybody because I had told people about my pregnancy before and then I miscarried, and that was just hard. So second trimester is when I started to feel depressed. It's not that anything was going wrong, it's just that I kind of just had the feeling come over me and I just wanted to stay in bed all day. Like, I just remember going through that and realizing like this must be what it's like to be depressed. I had never really experienced it so heavily before. I had sad moments in my life, very bad moments in my life, but during that time of pregnancy, I really experienced what it was like to be like, I just don't want to get up, I don't want to do anything. I wish that I could sleep every single day away. If I could just drive away and leave somewhere and just, you know, get away from life, I probably would have done that because I was just feeling all of those dark feelings of depression. Started to have serious thoughts about who I was and what I was doing with my life, like looking at other friends seeming like they living their best lives, starting businesses, traveling all over the place, getting higher education, and I'm looking at myself like I'm just a mom with a YouTube channel who talks about doing stuff but doesn't actually do it. See, the thing about me is that from a very young age, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like a singer, dancer, actress, rapper, model, just all things entertainment. I actually went to school and got a degree in entertainment business, and all my life, everything that I've done was supposed to culminate to the point of being able to do those things. And feeling like I'm approaching 30, I'm starting a family, I feel like if now is not the time, then when is the time going to be? Because people, especially in that industry, they usually hold out on settling down because typically when you settle down, you just don't have time to do that type of stuff. So this is all starting to really come into perspective for me. I'm realizing like, yo, everything's about to change for me. Is this all that I'm gonna amount to? And I'm not trying to like downplay being a mom, because ever since becoming a mom, I realized like how beautiful of a thing it is and how much I value it. But at that time, I'm just like, that was never really my dream. Around that time too, my brother, who had his own story, he was like kind of overcoming his own little bouts of depression, kind of like coming out of a career that he had begun for himself and realizing that he wanted something different. He was starting to be at my house a lot, and he was starting to make music. Literally, he had never made music a day in his life until like around that time. And then all of a sudden he taught himself how to like sing and rap and record, mix, master, got his whole studio set up at my house, and put out a whole project while I was pregnant, and just seeing him go through the process of that really, I was happy for him, but it really made me feel some type of way about myself, because again, I'm like, dang, I've had these dreams for years. Why have I never done it? So I really started to focus on what I had and had not done with my life, who I was and was not becoming, and really started to get the fear of just being mediocre. Third trimester was fine. It was beautiful. Everything, like, it was a lot of challenges in third trimester, but I think just I had like a more positive outlook on things. And so that was fine. I did end up having a C-section, and it was an unexpected C-section after a very difficult labor. And that in and of itself is its own kind of like little dramatic story. I'll definitely say that that played a lot into the types of mental and emotional battles I had moving forward. But because I had a baby who was alive and healthy, that really just trumped that. And I was so focused on the beauty of having this baby that after, I gave birth, I wasn't really thinking about depression or sadness at all. It was difficult. It was challenging for me physically, but I was in a very happy space. So it was interesting when the doctors, started to ask me questions on the questionnaire during like my checkups and visits, to try to see if I was dealing with postpartum depression. I would just kind of like laugh inside, like, of course not. This is the happiest moment of my life. How could I be dealing with that? I guess I thought postpartum depression was this heavy feeling that just came over you, where you were in this sunken place. You couldn't see, past tomorrow. You couldn't see positivity in anything, and it would be very, very obvious. I had heard stories about other people who had experienced serious cases of postpartum depression, and my little experiences were like nothing like that. But beneath it all, there was this pressure building up inside of me, making me feel like now is the time. Now's the time you need to get serious about your life, who you are, what you're doing, what you want to do, how you're going to do it. You have a baby, and if you want to set an example for her, then you need to become the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. I wasn't reading my Bible as much as I should have been, but the little bit that I was reading was basically like in the book of Ecclesiastes, talking about all things being meaningless and all things being vanity. And I started to really take that on in a new shape. Like, I started to really look at my life like, dang, maybe all the things I've ever aspired to do are meaningless, to the point that, do I really need to aspire to do them or be them? Like, maybe this is what God has for me, and maybe this is okay. So I started to really rid myself of a whole lot of my ambitions, not realizing that those ambitions are kind of what fueled me my entire life. It's what gave me the fire to go and do anything. You know what I'm saying? I thought that it was a good thing I was doing for myself, but maybe in a way it was, but I kind of had to go through the bad of it before I could get back to the good of it, which was getting into the mindset of really not feeling ambitious to do anything at all. And down the line, that really didn't serve me, because when you already are struggling to get anything done, and then you have no motivation to get anything done, then you just don't get anything done. And then when you look back at yourself and you start to see the outcome of the life you're building when you're not really doing much, I just think that it can be very defeating, especially for somebody in the mindset that I was in. However, I was like, there was still some things that I was just genuinely interested in, and that was, with YouTube, I really enjoy making YouTube videos. So I was like, let me make a video postpartum just to check in with everybody. And I wanted it to be hair related because that's what my audience was accustomed to. So I did like a postpartum video about detangling my hair. And that was just like not a good experience. First of all, the video just didn't do well in and of itself, but even building up to putting the video out, I partnered with somebody who was going to sponsor the video. She sent me products. I really liked the products, but I guess when I used them, I didn't use them correctly. So I didn't get the outcome that the sponsor wanted me to show on video. And I did email her about it and let her know. And so as we were going back and forth on the email, she basically said she wasn't going to pay me. Now, this was devastating for me because I had just got through like getting off of a couple of months of not working. I stopped working before I had the baby, and I still wasn't working after having the baby. So I wanted to get back in the groove of things. And for her to just straight up pull the rug from underneath my feet and say she wasn't going to pay me, I felt very defeated. Also, because I worked so hard at creating that video, by the time she said she wasn't going to pay me, the video had already been filmed, edited. I was just about to upload it. Then I really felt defeated because I knew that I was doing something that was like outside of my lane. Like, natural hair care is something that I'm still getting accustomed to. I was so used to doing braids and weaves. And so for that to happen, I knew on one end, it was warranted. Obviously, if I knew more about natural hair care, and maybe if I took more time to study, I would have used the product correctly. But on the other end, I felt played. So moving forward, I started to do contracts with people like, from now on, y'all got to pay me half up front, but in addition to that, I pulled back on wanting to do deals a lot at all, because I felt like if I'm going to do a sponsored deal with you, then I need to really be dedicated to this product or process, and you need to be really dedicated as well. But that was like a pivotal moment for me in like my YouTube experience coming out of having a baby. Shortly after that, I went back to doing hair tutorials, and I just was so unenthusiastic about it, but I just did it just so I could stay active on YouTube. I knew a reshaping of my YouTube channel was coming soon, but I didn't want to just like leave my audience hanging, so I wanted to put something out. And in the background of that, I was talking to my husband about getting started on our family channel again. We had started a family channel on YouTube, prior to even having a baby, and and it just didn't work out then. So I was like, let's bring it back. We were in good spirits. We had just had the baby. And so we started to do that again. But then that ended up leading to more dysfunction because we were always at odds about the type of content we wanted to put out. Not to mention, I was an entirely different person with a whole different attitude. And then we had this baby. So I'm realizing like I'm going through all of these changes. I'm not liking the person I'm becoming. I'm starting to evaluate every single thought that I'm having. I'm starting to sulk in it. I'm starting to just really try to pick it apart and figure out like what's going on. I would have good days and bad days and good moments and then down moments. And my husband really couldn't really count on, he didn't know what he was going to get from me. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt like that was starting to now affect my intimate life as well and our friendship. Not to mention it was heavily affecting the way that I viewed myself, my value, and what I thought that I was like doing with my life. That's when I realized I needed to start focusing on my spiritual healing and start taking that more serious. So I started to read this daily devotion my grandmother-in-law had blessed me with. I had been reading it before, but not taking it serious. So I started to read it every day. And then I got inspired to start my morning Detox series here on YouTube. So this was at the end of 2018, November of 2018. And I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do with my YouTube channel moving forward, but I just know what I'm going through right now is real. So I started to go live like every day and just talk to you guys. If you joined me live, then you know what I'm talking about different topics related to just mental clarity and spiritual healing. Then I was actually invited to be a part of a pilot episode of a songwriting show. And I thought, wow, God, this is so perfect. You know, my heart is in music. I want to do songwriting again. So it was just a perfect opportunity. That definitely made me feel really good. It also connected me again with other artists. And eventually, soon after that, I was able to get back in the studio and start working on some music. So working on myself at that period of time, toward the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, really helped me to start to develop more positive affirmations. I remember like I was journaling and I would just be speaking things that I wanted rather than things that I didn't want, and just trying to overcome all of my internal battles. But at the same time, I still had a whole lot of anxieties that I just wasn't accustomed to, because when you have a baby, you're trying to figure out your work-life balance, your just personal life, mom life balance. You don't even really have time to think about these things. I'm so used to having time to just sit down and think through the process of how I'm going to approach my day. But when the baby's waking you up all night and you got to tend to this other human being, not to mention you want to still be there for your husband and other people around you, you know, as a mom, you basically start to focus more on surviving than thriving. And that is a real thing for moms, which is why I salute every mom out there, because for you to get through this new baby stage and then still figure out a way to pick yourself up and then still go off and do something that is successful or is really good for the world or good for your family, you know, I salute you, because I know that that is not easy. Around this time, I found myself starting to resent my husband, because I'm looking at how I'm struggling to even get up and, you know, have time to shower regularly. Meanwhile, I felt like he had everything just perfectly mapped out. He had adequate time to work his job and make his regular set of money. He also had a side hustle he was able to do a really good job with. He also had his creative projects that he worked on, his own YouTube channel that he was doing really good with. He had time to eat, to, you know, take a shower, to watch a TV show, to get sufficient rest. I'm looking like, I get that you're a better time manager than me, but I was also really resentful, like, what about me? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so we was just butting heads a lot throughout this process. But the type of person I am is I usually don't like to just stay down if I get knocked down. So I was just like, you know what? I got to figure out a new approach to this YouTube. I got to start taking it serious. What am I going to do in the year of 2019? You know, and just thinking that through, I was also, you know, starting to really appreciate the help I was getting from my grandmother-in-law helping with the baby. And I was trying to figure out a system with her to where she could, you know, watch the baby a little bit more like without me, so that I could get some more work done. So I was trying to work that out, and it just wasn't really working out. Thank God around that time, my sister had asked me to participate in her wedding planning process. Basically, I ended up planning her wedding. You know, that was actually a relief that I wasn't expecting, because while a part of me was a little antsy about it, because it did pull me away from my work and the little bit of time I did have to think and plan out my work, the good side of it was it caused me to be occupied with something productive outside of my own issues. And so for the next few months, that's basically what I was preoccupied with. Anything that I did in the background of that was barely me doing anything, because that was my main focus. My 30th birthday was coming up that coming April, and I knew that I wanted to do something really nice for my 30th birthday, but I also knew that I needed to save up for that. So there was that anxiety of feeling like I need to contribute, I need to do my part. I don't want to just ask my husband to pay for everything and do everything. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just like trying to balance all of this stuff around that time and stay uplifted in high spirits. When my birthday did come, it was a lot of relief, but then there was like a new level of pressure as well. So the relief came in that I can say that I answered one of the questions I had been asking myself, which was, who are you? By then I had done enough spiritual work to come to the place of being okay and accepting the fact that I'm multifaceted. I am interested in a whole lot of things. It is what it is. I'm a creative person. But then there came the question of, okay, what are you going to do with it? Another part of the relief of my 30th birthday that really, really helped me, and I like strongly advise this for you guys if there's any way you can do it, was I got away. Because I did do all that work to plan my sister's wedding, and I was doing it out of the kindness of my heart. I just wanted to do it to help her out. I figured she would chip me off like a couple $100s or something just because she's nice, but I definitely didn't expect that she was going to give me as much money as she gave me. Her and her husband really hooked me up, and it definitely, allowed me to be able to pay for the birthday getaway that I needed. Okay, so I got away for a few days, and just being able to get out, do a variety of fun things that I had just been wanting to do for me was so refreshing. So after that, like I said, anxiety did ensue. It was an anxiety that I accepted because I thought it was a good anxiety that was pushing me forward into activity. But I didn't realize it was actually hurting me more than helping me, because I started to be really disciplined with myself, or trying to be disciplined and strict. I started to feel like you got to have a schedule, you got to approach this with determination, but the baby's schedule was constantly changing. By this time she was approaching a year old. I was still breastfeeding, but I was trying to wean her off of breastfeeding. She was starting to walk, and all of these changes were happening in my house, having to baby proof and just all of these things, her schedules changing, sleep schedule, all of this stuff. And so once again, I felt like I fell flat on my face trying to get up and be ambitious, and it's just not working. So this is when I started to adjust my belief system a little bit again, where there was some positives and there was some negatives. On the positive, I started to free myself up. I started to realize this can't be life, like constantly going against the grain, fighting against the bull. Like something's got to give, and the only solution that I could come up with was, maybe right now is the time for me to just rest and just let God do him. You know what I'm saying? Get really comfortable with the duties at hand, mommy duty, wife duty, taking care of my home, whatever it is I can do it. And if I can't do it, don't feel ashamed about it. So on a positive, I was starting to free myself of the responsibility of feeling like I needed to be super productive. But on the downside, I started to tell myself, like, in order to support that belief system, I had to tell myself things like, passion doesn't pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do until you can do what you want to do. Things that a lot of people subscribe to. And maybe those belief systems aren't necessarily horrible, but with the mindset that I was in, I don't think they served me well again. Because I was still trying to be responsible and organized in my whole approach, I was just like, you know what? The fact of the matter is, you are in a place where you just don't have time, okay? You just don't have time to do all of these things that are in your head. You need to just protect the time that you do have and be disciplined, right? And so then I low-key started to blame everything on not having time. My husband might ask me something simple like, hey babe, you want to catch a movie, next week? And I'll be like, no, I don't have time. Like, and then I'll go on this long rampage about, I got to do this and I got to do that and I got to wake up at this time, and he would just start looking at me like, dang, like, okay, like I wasn't even trying to take it there. And low-key, this is when I started to feel like he was really just like losing interest. And for me, I'm one of those people, I feel energy, you know what I'm saying? I can tell. He doesn't even have to say the words. Like, I could just tell when we're just not there. So we were like going through a whole lot of back and forth because I'm still trying to like salvage, the friendship in this relationship, knowing that it's changing as a result of becoming parents. And that was really hurting my heart. I cried a lot about that, journaled a lot, just trying to figure it out because, I still love my husband and I wanted us to be good. I didn't want to be one of those families that fell apart as a result of having kids, And my husband, he just wasn't affected in the same way that I was affected. So I just didn't feel like he really understood what I was going through. Meanwhile, in the background of all this, people are starting to hit me up for creative projects. Do I want to do a poem here? Do I want to do a song there? And this is when I started noticing like, yo, I'm just really uninspired right now. Like, I hadn't been writing songs. I hadn't been writing poetry, nothing. And that really defeated me because throughout my whole life, especially if you know me, you know that through tragedy and triumph, I write a song. Like, I could write a song any day. You know what I'm saying? That's what got me through so much of my stuff was, being a creative person, to dance, to sing, to write, and to see that that was even starting to dwindle away. I definitely was sinking into this place of, man, is this life? I felt a serious need to just get things out of my way. I just need a cleanse, you know what I'm saying? So I got rid of clothes, I'm just like, I started taking dance classes. This is like now towards the end of 2019. I'm like starting to take dance classes. That was so like good for me. It was so refreshing for me to just be around a community of other people just like me. Like I said, I started going to the studio. The downside to that was because I was still trying to get back my enthusiasm for writing songs again. That just didn't really pan out well for me. I remember like I had a breakdown thank God that one of my good friends was there when I did, because we were there at the studio with an artist, an established artist who had worked with excellent people in times past. And, we were supposed to write a song for him. And I just remember it was my turn to contribute and I just had nothing. I drew a blank. I was so embarrassed. I'm like, dang, you finally have the opportunity to do what you've been saying you want to do, and you don't have anything to bring to the table. And I'm sitting, outside the studio crying, talking to my friend about just being a mom and trying to balance it all and what's going on. And she encouraged me by just telling me like, yo, because she got kids herself, and she's like, this is a real thing. You might be experiencing postpartum depression, and it's okay. You just need to pray through it and work through it. This is a real thing that a lot of moms go through. And so that was a very defining moment for me. I think that was around the time where I started to feel like, dang, maybe I am going through postpartum depression. And I'm one of those people that I just don't accept postpartum depression. When people warned me about it, I was just like, I'm not receiving that. You know what I'm saying? I strongly believe in the power of thought. I believe that, you are what you think. And if I accept that I am dealing with postpartum depression, then I will fall into a depression, not realizing that low-key I still kind of was. Maybe had I accepted it, it would have been deeper and stronger and more defeating. But that still didn't negate the fact that I was. I think the error in that was, yes, I wasn't accepting defeat upon myself, and I think that's a good thing, but I also wasn't confirming over myself that I was set free. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was working through different affirmations as I was doing my spiritual work, but I hadn't really declared, like, I will not succumb to this. You know what I'm saying? I am bigger than this, better than this, greater than this, more than this. I just hadn't gotten to that place yet. So yeah, nearing the end of 2019 and going into 2020, I'm like, you know what? I done already rebranded my channel. It's me, Miss Ruby. What does this mean? And so I was like, had all these great ideas for how I was going to approach 2020. You know what I'm saying? Unapologetically, I was just going to like go for what I wanted to go for. I set up this video called 20 Challenges in 2020, and I challenged myself to do 20 new things. It just all fell apart. Okay, obviously you've never seen the video because the video is not up. I tried that video time and time again. It just didn't work out. It was a very stressful experience for me, and that was a very eye-opening moment for me too, because I realized that, dang, me trying so hard to make this YouTube thing happen is not working. Like, my house is going to shit. I'm not watching my daughter as much as I should be. I'm not playing with her as much as I should be. By this time, she's now already 1.5 years old. And I'm like, I'm looking at my friends who are raising kids of a similar age, and they got time set aside to do the developmental work with their children and do the studies and go outside and play. And my daughter is just getting the short end of the stick, chasing me around the house for attention while I'm trying to edit a video. That's basically what was happening at the beginning of 2020. And I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I can't do it like this. I just can't. You know what I'm saying? I gotta figure something else out. So around this time is when I decided to go on a detox. And I had recently actually been introduced to this company called Total Life Changes. They sell a variety of health and wellness products, as well as allow you to be a distributor of their products, right? And so I was like, okay, I finally was ready to do their detox cleanse. So I was gonna do a physical detox. And I also decided, like, you need to do a mental detox as well. You need to just shed yourself of all these old thoughts, give yourself some time to breathe, because you still ain't figured this out. So doing that detox definitely, enlightened me a lot. I did a whole video on that. So if you guys want to see that video, I'll list it in the description below. Around that time too, I started to have more serious discussions with my husband about scheduling. And I just made it clear to him, he's one of those type of people like, listen, if you don't ask, I'm not gonna know. You know what I'm saying? But if you need something, just let me know. Even if you don't think it's fair, just at least let me know. A lot of times I held back from asking my husband for help because I just felt like, even though you do have like this perfect schedule, it seems, I also felt like he deserved it. He worked hard. Like I said, he was basically working 2.5 jobs, paying most of the bills, holding us together, while I was having a baby. So I'm thinking like, you deserve all of this glorious, beautiful schedule that you have. So I never wanted to impede on that. But this was around the time where I'm like, I gotta ask you for help or else I'm gonna lose my mind. So thank God I did that, because we were actually able to work out a schedule that allowed me to have some time set aside to actually film, edit, and produce content, because I still want to have time to create, to do my music and to dance and all that stuff, but I really want to have time to produce some content. So we were able to actually work out that schedule. But in addition to that, I had such a huge shift. Joining that company, Total Life Changes, it served me negatively and positively. On the negative side, it was that, I started to see all of these extremely ambitious people who wanted to conquer the world, make all this money, pursuing things that I just wasn't interested in. Just the same thing like in the music industry. You go make all this money, you get flashy, you get the cars, you get the jewelry, you get, you popping bottles, girls, you're doing all this stuff, and that this is the lifestyle that majority of people in this company were exhibiting. And while that is the dream for a whole lot of people, that's not the dream for me. Like, the dream for me is being like peaceful, like, you know, at a waterfall somewhere in some rainforest, you know, like swinging on a hammock in a tree, you know, just immersing myself in nature's beauty, you know, backpacking around Europe, going on some dope trips with my family, you know, some more like personal, spiritual type things. And I just did not see that exhibited. So I started to feel like I am not trying to take on the pressure now of, because I want to, like, you know, be a part of a health and wellness company, because I want to help some people, you know, to get their health together. Now I got to also want to go and be this beast of an entrepreneur and build this huge business. I just didn't want to take on that pressure. And I was like really trying to protect myself from feeling and receiving that type of pressure, especially with the state of mind that I was in. But on the positive, where it really helped me intensely was that I was able to see what it was like when people believed in themselves again. I had learned these types of lessons early on in my 20s, but I hadn't really been practicing them, like I said, to the fullest extent. And while maybe the people in this company were living their best lives in ways that I wasn't inspired to, the fact that they were inspired to, the fact that they had their own stories of falling apart, losing everything, picking themselves up by following this certain set of principles, taking on these certain mindsets, I realized, like, you know what, Ruby, you can have, do, and be anything that you please, but it's not going to happen until you declare it, period. If you do not declare it, you're going to sit around and you're going to keep getting the same results over and over and over. Sitting down, thinking deeply into X, Y, and Z. Why am I feeling this? Why am I thinking this? Who am I becoming? What am I becoming? What is the world going through? All that stuff is not serving you, okay? You can sit and sulk in that all you want to, and you'll figure out a whole bunch of things that's going to have you running around in circles. I had to come to a place where I really understood that life really is going to end, okay? There are people in this world going through much worse things. There are people out here who are dying, who are sick in a hospital bed somewhere, whose children just got taken away from them, who just got raped, who just got molested, who just got everything stolen from them. There are people out here really dealing with real problems. And so when I was going through my mess, you know, that was another thing that was really like tearing me down, because I felt like, how dare you feel this way after everything God has brought you through? How dare you sulk in your sadness after all of the joy that God has blessed you with? You went through a miscarriage, now you have a healthy baby, no concerns. You know what I'm saying? You were once poor, impoverished. God has blessed you with so much prosperity and so much peace, and an amazing husband who don't beat your ass, who respects you, who loves you. Like, that was really like jacking me up and making me feel even less than, because I felt like, dang girl, you got everything going for you and you still can't be positive. You know what I'm saying? So I took those same belief systems and realized, you got everything going for you, so go and be positive. And that's where I am at today. And so I wanted to share that with you guys, because I wanted to say I'm excited that I finally feel like my old self again, that dreamer and believer that I once was as a little girl before becoming a mom, before this depression came over me. I truly feel like the spirit of depression has lifted from me. Through this entire process, I stayed prayed up, even when my prayers seemed petty. I've gotten to know myself better. I've gotten to know my God better. I've gotten to understand this world better. And I do not fear falling back into that depression. My relationship is getting better. My husband is coming to believe me a little bit more when I tell him, like, I'm better, babe. I'm actually really better this time. I see some improvement there. I have a serious appreciation for all mothers out there. Once again, happy Mother's Day weekend to you guys, because I know that this mess is real. That leads me to my announcement. I wanted to first off tell you guys the story of what that was like, so that you can understand the gravity when I tell you guys how thankful I am to have been blessed with the privilege of mothering another child. I am pregnant. Yes. If you stayed around to the end of this video, then you deserve to hear this announcement first. I haven't even told a lot of my friends and family about this, you know. I decided to tell you guys first because this YouTube experience for me has been a major part of my life over the last 10 years. And I would be remiss not to mention that it has helped to shape me into the woman I've become over the last 10 years. So yes, I do think that you guys, as my audience, are worthy of getting the exclusive drop first, okay? So join me along this journey. Moving forward, we're gonna continue on with Storytime Saturdays and Self-Care Sundays, where I share stories with you guys about moments of tragedy to triumph. Eventually, I wanna share other people's stories with you guys too. Self-Care Sunday, I'm on a serious journey of just continuing along, learning how to take better care of myself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, creatively. I wanna share all of those discoveries with you guys along the way. If you are battling with depression, I strongly urge that you get your relationship with God if you don't already have one. Deepen your relationship with God by any means necessary if you do already know the Lord. Ask yourself the challenging questions. Be ready to go through some ups and downs, but always be willing to get up and keep fighting along the way. You are worth it. You do deserve it. You would not be here if you did not have a unique purpose. God bless you. I love you, and I want to encourage you to be you, love you, and make it all beautiful. Till next time.